No. Sorry, scratch that. Lamau, kind of, maybe. We don't really know. Honestly, it's difficult to say what we're going to see at UFC 260. It's part of the reason this matchup is so compelling. Yes, we've seen these two athletes go head-to-head before, and we got 25 minutes out of that first meeting. But is there a sure sense that the result of any forthcoming matchups between the two are invariable? Fuck no. Francis Ngannou has that hide your kids, hide your wife kind of power that makes any fight of his a coin flip, and Miocic honestly, at points, looked slicker than ever in his final fight with Daniel Cormier last August. So who's to say what happens this time round? The natural move is to look at Francis Ngannou after having been manhandled for the majority of a 5-round title fight and look at where he's made improvements, but there's not a lot to go off of. Officially speaking, Francis has fought for 2 minutes and 42 seconds since his loss to Derek Lewis. First, there was that return to hair-trigger counterpunching in the Blades rematch. That was a damn good performance from Ngannou. After the tentativity that we saw against Lewis, Ngannou stepping in deep, countering the jab with a massive overhand and bringing the heat was a sight for sore eyes. But there was something in this performance that caught the eyes of some pundits. He threw a low kick.
Wow!
Did y'all see the leg kick Ngannou threw at the beginning? That shit was terrifying.
The moment I saw that, I was supremely confident that Ngannou regained his confidence and learnt a thing or two. Can't wait to see what he does next. That leg kick was fucking scary. As soon as that leg kick landed, I was just like, oh fuck, confidence definitely back.
I mean, never mind the fact that he's thrown them before. This was seen as development. Ngannou entering the next stage of his career. Anyway, next up, the former champion Cain Velasquez coming off of a, 953-day layoff. Jesus Christ. The general consensus online was that, hey, if Cain is at 100%, he'll run through Francis, but otherwise, he'll probably get his head taken off. And yeah, that's exactly what we saw. Cain got his head taken off. In my opinion, this is probably the best KO of Francis's recent run. Francis immediately threw a solid jab and started measuring the distance well. When the clinch was initiated, Francis did good work securing an underhook on the left side and creating space, so that when Cain switched to the double leg attempt, he had enough room to bop him into retirement with an uppercut. So honestly, yeah, this is kind of a good win. It doesn't really tell us anything more than what we already were aware of, but it is certainly a win. The JDS fight is where we start to see people convinced that the Ngannou we're seeing is a whole nother beast. Those leg kicks, Jesus Christ, Gaethje Barboza all over again. Then JDS tried to earn Francis's respect and got KO'd for it.
The first leg kick he threw looked like it was sped up or something.
Leg kicks in his game. Those kicks were fucking hard. I mean, don't get me wrong, I like that he can throw kicks. Kicks are cool. But these are naked kicks with very little setup that aren't indicative of any monumental change in Ngannou's game. He doesn't even really turn the hip over on that first kick of the fight. Additionally, he still had that clubbing overhand that I don't really like the look of when he pushed JDS back against the fence. It actually allowed Dos Santos to escape back to the center, so that's not great. But at least the finish was pretty solid. What about the Rosenstruck win though?
This is brilliant, but I like this.
Let's get this straight though. I love Francis Ngannou. I have bet against him twice, against Overeem and Stipe the first time. The reason I bet Ngannou every other time is exceedingly simple. It's just the most likely outcome. And sure, he can add more tools to his game, but he doesn't need to. It does not matter how many times you match Ngannou up with Stipe Miocic, Francis will always have a very good shot. You know, this is also a preview video, so I can't just finish with, Francis maybe win cause big punching go wow. So here's the more indicative analysis. What do we expect to see? Given how brutally self-aware Francis has been since the first fight, in all likelihood, he's going to come into this fight and actually deliver on the game plan. Sit back and counterpunch. That's how he hurt Blades repeatedly in both the first and their second fights. How he beat JDS in 2019, how he knocked out Overeem and Arlovsky. Due to his astronomical size and speed for the heavyweight division, his counterpunching generally catches guys off guard mid-combination. And that has to be the goal. Stipe has an educated jab that will likely draw out some iffy looking shots from Ngannou, like the first fight, but in combination, he can get a little sloppy, and this is where Ngannou has to capitalise. Additionally, if we're talking about specific shots, Francis had some success with uppercuts in the first fight. Watch here. Francis shows the lead hand, Miocic tries to slip to the inside or shoot a double, either of the two, and Francis cracks him with a meaty rear hand uppercut. In the follow-up, Francis very nearly catches Stipe with a lead hand uppercut after threading the jab. That said, in the first matchup, he just didn't have the energy to properly hide it. See here, as a basic level change feint draws out the most laboured uppercut possible. He pulls it back, but not before it becomes painfully obvious as to what he wants to do, and then he just keeps on showing it. If Francis can be more conservative with his energy and show some decent feints, that uppercut on the level change could go less like this and more like this. But ultimately and realistically, this fight is more about watching for the overhand counter. If Ngannou can play a patient game, he might be able to draw out the jab cross, and that's when his overhand comes down like a strike of lightning and eviscerates Cleveland's finest. That's been the Ngannou playbook since day one, and ain't nothing changed. We've seen so little of him since the first fight that whilst we can assume he's become more well-rounded, nothing is proven. So just bet on this fight with the superlatives in mind. Stipe must be perfect for 25 minutes. Francis only has to be perfect with one single haymaker. Make of that what you will. Thanks for watching, guys. I know this video is a little all over the shop, but I really wanted to briefly look at this matchup and at Francis in particular. Anyway, subscribe and all that jazz, and hopefully you'll see me again in the near future.